Okay, good morning and welcome to this Friday, Wednesday, February 28th, 9:55 a.m. joint agenda between the Committees on Commerce and Consumer Protection and the Committee on Ways and Means. This is to consider SB 279 relating to health, which requires Medicaid and insurance coverage of ketamine therapy to treat depression. First up, we have the DCCA Insurance Division with comments. Good morning.
Good morning. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, Chair, and Vice Chair, and members of the committees. I'm Jerry Bump from DCCA, and we'll stand on our written testimony providing comments, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Department of Human Services with comments.
Aloha, Chair.
Good morning.
Judy Moore-Peterson. Good morning. Judy Moore-Peterson on behalf of the Department of Human Services. We stand on our written testimony. We offer comments and we respectfully request an amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Beyond Mental Health. Good morning.
Good morning, Senators. I'm Dr. Thomas Cook. I've provided ketamine treatment to my suicidal and depressed patients for years. And it's bothered me that the patients who cannot afford the best treatment that could save their life, whereas there's patients, who have the means around Kahala area who can. So it's a social inequity issue. There's two types of ketamine. The IV, which can reduce suicide, has been proven through several randomized trials. So it's a vitals life-saving treatment like an EpiPen. You can think of it, insurance is denying that as like denying an EpiPen, as a life-saving drug. And then there's also Spravato, a brand name nasal spray that was never shown to reduce suicide, despite Johnson & Johnson sort of hoodwinking the public and kind of implying that it does. Their own study shows that it does not reduce suicidal ideation. And I believe that insurances have an obligation to reduce suicide and provide vital treatments. And the fact that the FDA does not cover the generic ketamine, I think, is a moot point, because that just means they're otherwise not forcing us. And I'm here for extra questions if you'd like.
Next, we have Marion Miller in support.
Good
morning.
My name is Dr. Marion Miller, and I'm a clinical psychologist and marriage and family therapist in private practice on the island of Oahu. I am in strong support of SB 279 and requiring insurance coverage of ketamine treatments. Ketamine has provided profound life-changing experiences for many of my patients over the last 8 years. Some of these patients have been on every single antidepressant medicine that is FDA approval. The part that's infuriating to me is that only folks that have the financial resources can take part of the ketamine protocol. Most patients can't afford it. I'm nervous, sorry. Ketamine should not be an opulent or wealthy only treatment. Ketamine is a relatively old drug with a reliable history in a medical setting. There are many studies that have proven in a controlled medical environment, injectable and IV protocols are statistically significant in treating and resolving many psychiatric diagnoses.
Thank you very much. Your 1 minute is that we do have your written testimony.
Okay.
Next, we have Ashley Yamashita in support. Good morning.
Good morning, chairs, vice chair, and members of the committee. My name is Ashley Yamashita. I'm from Kailua, Oahu, and I am in strong support of SB 279. I'm a certified nurse assistant, mental health technician, and work as a physician's practice assistant at Queens on Punchbowl. Also, as someone who lives with PTSD and major depressive disorder, I've taken many SSRIs and had to discontinue use due to no therapeutic relief and a myriad of side effects. Also, I attempted a round of transcranial magnetic therapy, details of which are laid out in my testimony, but I'll paraphrase by saying it was long, arduous, and there was no therapeutic relief. After all of the options were exhausted, I tried ketamine therapy. I experienced immediate relief from my symptoms, a relief I never thought possible. Ketamine has changed my life. The only negative side effect is its cost. Others suffering from this diagnosis may not even consider ketamine treatment as an option because of the cost.
Thank you very
Ketamine
much.
therapy should not be an unattainable luxury.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
submitting your
Support
testimony.
this
Coming.
bill and the healing of our community.
Thank you. Next, we have Kahala Clinic for Children and Families submitting late testimony and support.
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name's Dr. Robin Martin. I'm a psychiatrist in private practice, and I also did my residency here in Honolulu. And I'm also assistant clinical faculty with the Jefferson Medical School. As a mental health professional, I work with patients in crisis every day, but you do not have to look far to see the results of untreated depression. Depression is becoming the world's biggest source of disability, and suicide is the biggest leading cause of death in the youth of Hawaii. Ketamine outperforms almost every other treatment, including ECT, which up until now is our biggest weapon in psychiatry. Most patients would prefer this treatment. However, it remains too costly for many. Please support this bill. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to note we have written comments from HMSA and 6 other individuals who testified in writing, 1 in opposition, 5 in support. Is there anyone else who would like to testify?
Hi, good morning, Chair, everybody in the committee. My name is Michael Gueso. I'm just gonna keep this real short and brief because I only got 1 minute here. I'm blessed to be here today to give this testimony only because of ketamine
In
treatment.
support, sir?
Exactly, 100% in support. For every 1 person we all see, we can't even come into the Capitol without seeing the obvious people who suffer from mental health illness, anxiety, depression. There's thousands of others like me. I'm sure everyone in this room has somebody who in their family or their loved ones that suffer from mental illness. Only by the grace of God am I able to afford this treatment. And today I look at these people, the obvious ones, and see that why me? Why me? Why was I blessed to be able to afford this treatment? Why not them? I feel like as if the blood of them is on my hands. Today, we all have the opportunity to make a change for that. I'm in strong support of this bill. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Members, any questions? Senator Favela.
Dr. Cook? The HMSA's comments talked about that the reason why they're not covering ketamine is because it's not FDA approved. Can you elaborate that about what you're saying about not having to be FDA approved because of telling HMSA saying the FDA approved tells them what they can and cannot cover, or vice versa? Can you elaborate on the FDA?
Yeah, I think the role of the FDA is to mandate coverage, but if they don't mandate it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't also need to be covered. Saying that the FDA approves Spravato, but not a superior treatment, IV ketamine, is like saying we don't want to approve it because they're not going to force us. And that's not the right thing to do. Right thing to do is decide what is a vital life-saving treatment. Generic EpiPen, asthma inhaler, whatever it is, it's got to be covered if it's possibly vital and life-saving. Just like gender reassignment surgery was on the same grounds.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I mean, on my colleagues understand what you said on the gender.
Well, without the FDA commenting on that issue, gender reassignment surgery was covered and argued to be covered here, mandated on the grounds that it reduced suicidal ideation.
Okay.
And this is an even stronger argument because it affects a larger portion of the population, which is those with suicidal major depressive disorder.
Can you explain to them about the cost and what is the I guess the procedure on how you go on the ketamine? Why is it so different from the nasal, Prozac, and everything else that we have out there? You know, taking a pill at home to taking a nasal spray. Why is this process so different than just popping a pill?
Yeah. The treatment that is covered, Spravato, you sniff from a bottle that costs $1,000 to the insurance. And then Dr. Jeremy Roberts, my colleague, will get paid $200 to $600 for each per person in a room of 6 people who sprayed the nose in the bottle, and it does not reduce suicidal ideation. So already HMSA is paying $1,000 for the bottle and $200 to $600 for a treatment that's inferior. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that got force approved, but it's an inferior treatment. And the proper way to provide ketamine, as it's been done since the 90s, you spend about 2-3 hours in an office with a board certified psychiatrist and a trip sitter, someone who's skilled, kind of like a nurse when you're going into surgery. And they sit there and they help you through the experience. It's about 2 to 3 hours, and it's either an injection in the arm or an IV. Just like you'd go for chemotherapy, you sit for a couple hours.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions?
I have a question.
Senator Kidani.
Thank you. So, Dr. Cook, are there other drugs that are not approved and are paid for by, not FDA approved and but are paid for by our insurance carriers?
There are numerous antidepressants covered, Prozac, Lexapro, all of them, but none of them reduce suicide. So in a person who's suicidal on an emergency basis, if an insurance says, well, you should take an antidepressant first, you're telling that person that they have to take a treatment that will increase their risk of suicide. So we know from Prozac, it's called a black box warning. So if that's a first line treatment, you're taking someone already suicidal and telling them, no, first, before you get the more effective ketamine treatment, you have to take a drug that's proven to make you more suicidal. And that's kind of what's happening already right now. This is true across the whole nation, actually.
But you haven't quite answered my question. So my question is, are there other drugs on the market that are not FDA approved that insurance carriers do cover? Because I think, isn't this the issue that FDA is not
Correct.
It's not FDA.
There are, yeah, there's many generic antidepressants, which date back to the 60s and 70s, tricyclic antidepressants and all sorts of generic drugs that are covered under the drug plan. That's correct.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, the CPN committee does not have quorum to make decisions on this, so we will recess and yield to the WAM committee to continue their agendas. The recommendation on this measure before we move on is to pass with a effective date of July 1, 2040 to foster additional discussion. Any other comments or concerns? Okay, then we will recess this agenda. Okay.
So Ways and Means, same recommendation, Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 279, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Aquino.
Aye.
Senator Decoit.
Aye.
Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Inoue.
Aye.
Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator Kidani.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Shimabukuro excused. Senator Wakai.
Yes.
Senator Favela.
Yes.
Okay. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. And on second thought, for the CPN committee, what we will do is we will defer decision making on this measure until but you know what, we'll just wait till end of calendar. Yeah. Recess.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, calling to order. We're going to start with the 10:02 Ways and Means agenda. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options on our Senate meetings on the live and demand video page of our website. In the event we have to end this hearing due to technical difficulties, we'll reconvene on Thursday, February 29, 9:28 in this room. Public notice will be posted. If you're participating remotely, please keep to your 1 minute. If there are temporary glitches, we may move on to the next person. We appreciate your understanding and we have your written testimony. List of people who submitted testimony will be called one by one. We apologize if closed captioning doesn't accurately transcribe the names. If you're interested in reviewing written testimony, please go to our website. You will find a link on the status page of each measure. Okay, first item, SB 2279. Attorney General. In support. Oh. Department of Taxation.
Assistant Sakamoto, Deputy Director of Taxation, who's not in support.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, comments.
Oh, sorry, Attorney General was also comments. University of Hawaii. Tax Foundation.
Yes, good morning, Chair, members of the committee. This is Jay McMillan on behalf of the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We will stand on our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for any of the testifiers? Okay, next item. SB 2280. DLNR.
Vice Chair, members of the committee, the last time on providing recommendations.
Thank you. Department of Health.
Good morning, Chair Dela Cruz, Vice Chair Moriwaki, senators of the committee. The Department of Health strongly supports Senate Bill 2280. The data that Hawaii State Hospital has suggests that there's a large number of patients that would be better treated in a facility not at the hospital of care. This proposal, this bill would offer such a program. So again, we're strongly support. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Not HHSC. In support. Anyone else wishing to testify? Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 2725. DOTAX.
Tax stands in support.
Thank you. Hawaii Restaurant Association. In support. Chamber of Commerce. In support. Tax Foundation.
Yes, good morning. Jane McMillan for the Tax Foundation. We will stand on our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Acuity LLP. In support. And Grassroots Institute. In support. Anyone else wishing to testify? If not, next item, SB 2831. DOTAX.
Good morning, Gary Sigmund, Director of Taxation. Department stands on the.
Thank you. Members, any questions? If not, County of Maui. In support, Maui County Council. In support, Tax Foundation.
Yes, good morning. To Jane McMillan on behalf of the Tax Foundation. We will stand on our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And Maui Chamber of Commerce. In support. Anyone else wishing to testify? Okay, why don't we go into decision making? First item, SB 2279. Recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopting the amendments from DOTAX's testimonies by adding the definitions for graduate assistant and qualified tuition reduction to HRS 2235-2.4 for the purposes of this subsection, amending the definition of qualified tuition reduction and explicitly stating that the Internal Revenue Code section 117D is operative with respect to qualified tuition reductions provided to graduate assistants. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Speak 2679, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Kino.
Aye.
Senator Floyd. Aye. Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Inoue.
Aye.
Senator Kanuga.
Aye.
Senator Kidani. Aye. Senator Kim. Aye. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Shimabuku excused, Senator Walker. Aye.
Yes.
And Senator Bell.
Aye.
Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2280. Recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopt LRB tech amendments, blank the appropriation, and inserting language that requires P3 projects to receive approval of the Attorney General and the Director of Budget and Finance. Insert language that requires that these projects to adhere to HRS 37-2 and requires that these projects are not a general obligation to the state pursuant to HRS 37D-5 and affecting the date to 25th. Any discussion? Not sure both sides.
Senate Bill 2280, passed with amendments, all members present, and when voting no, anyone with reservation and recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2725, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not sure both sides.
Senate Bill 2725, all members present, for passing on amendment, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation and recommendation.
Thank you. Last item on the 1002 agenda, SB 2831, recommendation is to pass with amendments. On page 1, line 17, amending language by removing the 2-year period by adding a 6-year period. Amending page 2, lines 14 to 17 to read as follows. Provided that if a major disaster is declared by the governor in a county having a population greater than 100,000 and less than 200,000, on page 3, line 6 to 16, we will add language to read as follows. To only be used for housing infrastructure as defined in section 46-16.8, infrastructure rebuilding costs related to major disaster as declared by the governor, or any debt service and finance agreement costs for both purposes, the Director of Finance shall deduct a blank percentage to the amount due to the applicable county to reimburse the state for the cost of assessment, collection, disposition, and oversight of the county transit accommodation tax incurred by the state. Amounts retained shall be general fund realizations of the state. Inserting a blank appropriation to DOE tax for fiscal year 25 to assist the county in levying, assessing, collecting, and otherwise administering the county transient accommodation tax, and inserting a new section to add language for a general expenditure ceiling since we are adding a blank appropriation and defecting the date to 2050. Any discussion? Not sure both sides.
Senate Bill 2831, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation or recommendation.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move into our 10 a.m. So we'll adjourn the 10:02. Call to order the 10 a.m. First item is SB 3173. Recommendation. SB 3173, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not chair votes aye.
Speak 3173, pass as is, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation.
Thank you. Next item. SB 3177, recommendation is to pass with amendments adopting LRB tech amendments. Any discussion? Not chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3177, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation. So recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Okay, adjourning the 10 a.m. and calling to order the 10:01. First item is SB 1170. Recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopt LRB tech amendments, and per testimony, adopt HCD's testimony to remove them from the measure. Any discussion? Not chair votes aye.
SB 1170, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2202. Recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopt LRB tech amendments, and perfect the date upon approval. Any discussion? Not chair votes aye.
SB 2202, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2319. Recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Madam Chair votes aye.
SB 2319, passed with amendments.
No, pass as is.
Okay, passed unamended. All members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2401, recommendation is to pass with amendments. Adopt LRB tech amendments, blank the appropriation, the effective date to 2050.
SB 2401, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2406, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Madam Chair votes aye.
SB 2406, passed unamended. Anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted. No,
No, pass as
unamended,
is.
unamended, as is.
Next item, SB 2474, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopting LRB tech amendments, and we'll let the committee report reflect the AG's requested amendments in their testimony. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 2474, all members present, anyone voting no, reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2501, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 2501, any members voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2526, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopt LRB tech amendments, and perfect the date upon approval. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2526, all members present, anyone voting no, reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2536, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 2536, pass unamended, anyone voting no, reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2599, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 2599, and anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2731, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopting LRB tech amendments. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 2731, anyone voting no, anyone pass with amendments, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2782, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopting LRB tech amendments. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2782, passed with amendments, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2787, recommendation is to pass with amendments, effective the date to 2050. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 2787, all members present, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2836, recommendation is to pass with amendments, blanking the appropriation, adopting an amendment that requires quorum to be defined as the majority of members present at any notice public meeting, and effecting the date to 2050. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2836, all members present, anyone voting no, reservations, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2866, recommendation is to pass with amendments, effecting the date to 2050. And we'll let the committee report reflect a request of $2 million from the Attorney General's Accounting and General Services testimony. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2866, all members present, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2885, recommendations to pass with amendments, adopting LRP tech amendments, effecting the date to 2050. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2885, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2890, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussions? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2890, all members present, anyone voting no, with reservation, this is to pass unamended, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2942, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2942, anyone with pass unamended, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 2974, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopting LRB tech amendments, effecting the date to July 1st, 2024. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2974, all members present, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3000, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopt LRB tech amendments, removing the appropriation section in section 4 and effecting the date July 1st, 2024. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 33,000, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3067, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3667, pass unamended, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3070, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3070, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3084, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3084, pass unamended, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3085, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3085, to pass unamended, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3103, recommendation is to pass with amendments defecting the date to 2050. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3103, passed with amendments, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3116, recommendations to pass with amendments adopting LRB tech amendments. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3116, passed with amendments, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3120, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3120, pass unamended, all members present, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3183, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopt LRB tech amendments, effective date to 2050. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3183, passed with amendments, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3207, recommendation is to pass with amendments, deleting the language at a rate no greater than 250,000 a year and allowing the BOE to set the superintendent's salary. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3207, passed with amendments, all members present, anyone voting no, reservation. Okay. Now. Reservation for Kim, reservation for Bella, all other members, anyone voting no, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3217, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3217, pass as is, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3239, recommendation is to pass with amendments, adopting LRB tech amendments and receiving prior concurrence, adopt language from the Office of Wellness to provide authorization to OWR to develop and execute that program to acquire and forgive outstanding medical debt, authorizing Office of Wellness to contract with an entity with demonstrated experience partnering with hospitals and health systems to acquire and forgive outstanding medical debt, including requirements that limit the scope of those whose debt may be acquired and forgiven, including requirements that ensure privacy protections for health and financial data, authorizing Office of Wellness to receive private and federal funds for the purposes of this program, and requiring an annual report to the legislature, and removing section 3 and 4. Okay. Recess. Okay, calling me back to order, and we'll further amend to effect the date upon approval. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 3239, passed with amendments, all members present, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next item, SB 3290, recommendation is to pass with amendments adopting LRB tech amendments. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
SB 3290, all members present, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation adopted.
And the next item will defer to Friday, March 1st, 9:56 in this room. Okay. It's adjourning that agenda and calling to order the 10:03 agenda. Okay, starting 10:03, SB 2710. Okay, recommendation is to reconsider the committee's previous action and pass with amendments adopting LRB tech amendments. It's upon approval of it. 2710. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
1003.
SB 2710. Any discussion? Not Chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 2710, all members present, anyone voting no with reservation, recommendation.
Thank you. Adjourning that and calling to order the 10:30 agenda. Okay, it's just one item with lots of amendments. Okay. SB 3202. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. Removing the preamble in section 1, changing all references to residential lot to residentially zoned lot. Amending page 4, line 7 to read additional dwelling units in urban districts. Amending page 4, lines 8 to 11 to read notwithstanding any law, ordinance, code, or standard to the contrary, a residentially zoned lot with an urban district established by chapter 205 shall be allowed additional residential units. Amending page 4, lines 14 to 16 to read shall allow for at least 2 additional dwelling units, which shall be considered accessory to any dwelling unit or residential unit duly permitted by ordinance within a residentially zoned lot. Replacing A under section 2B2 to read continue to apply any ordinance enacted pursuant to section 46-4 relating to location, height, bulk, number of stores, size of building, building setback lines, future street lines, percentage of a lot that may be occupied, open spaces, areas in which particular use may be subjected to special restrictions, and building, electrical, mechanical, and housing code regulations that promote and protect the public health, safety, and welfare. Adding A, D, and E under sections 2B2 to read adopt by ordinance or rule additional design guidelines specifically for additional dwelling units, and by ordinance or rule consider permits under other ordinance or additional dwelling units or residential units toward meeting the requirements of subsection B1, and amending 5 line 12 to read prohibitions on long-term rentals as defined by each county, or adding a section D in section 2 to read for purposes of this section, dwelling unit has the same meaning as in HRS section 521-8, replacing herein on page 10, line 1 with in this section, amending G on page 12 to read notwithstanding any other law, county ordinance, or rule, any application for subdivision, consolidation, or re-subdivision of parcels within the state urban land use district as designated pursuant to sections 205-2 shall be reviewed and acted upon by the director of the county agency responsible for land use, provided that amending page 13 lines 1 to 2 to read all resulting parcels are residentially zoned and at least 2,000 square feet in area, except that a county may by ordinance or rule allow residentially zoned parcels smaller than 2,000 square feet amending 2A on page 13 to read designated as important ag land pursuant to Part 3 of Chapter 205. And amending 2E on page 13 to include places listed on the Historic Register of Historic Places or National Register of Historic Places listed as historic property on the Hawaii Register of Historic Places or the National Register of Historic Places, and during the nomination process of either processes. Adding a new subsection to F to read subject to any land condition or features that render the site unsuitable or hazardous to the health, safety, and welfare of future residents or the surrounding community, and replacing such on page 16 with line 10 with the. Okay, any discussion?
First of all, can these units be subdivided and sold?
They would have to go through the subdivision process with the county.
Because I know when they had the whole Ohana issue, that the accessory units they subdivided it out and sold them individually. You know, with the Ohana, which is why eventually the council changed it to have to be attached. And so if they're gonna have separate units, they're all allowed to be sold individually as a condominium.
No, so CPR is different than subdivide.
Yeah, but they might go with CPR.
Yeah, so
So does this allow them to CPR? I mean, right now, units are allowed to be CPR.
Yeah.
So that's one concern that I have. I'm not sure when you talk about replacing the section continue to apply. So is the setbacks and all of that stuff continue to apply, or are we waiving all of that? There's a lot of amendments here to subtract those.
well, we can recess so you can read it and then we can come back. Okay, so we'll take a short recess. Okay, going back to 3202. So chair's going to recommend additional amendments. We're going to be adding language that these areas cannot be designated to limited common elements under 514B. Any further discussion?
I appreciate all the amendments and stuff. I for lack of not being able to see it all, I'm just gonna go WR.
Okay. The discussion, if not, chair votes aye.
All members present, anyone voting no with reservation from Senator Kim, anyone else? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you.
Oh, that was a long one.
You guys can leave, because it's only their fault.
Mm.
Thank you.
Okay, CPN is reconvening on our 9:55 a.m. agenda to make a recommendation on SB 279. This is the ketamine therapy bill. The recommendation is to pass with amendments will affect the effective date to July 1, 2040. Any discussion? Seeing none, chair votes aye.
Vice Chair also votes aye. Senator McKelvey and Senator Richards are excused. Senator Awal.
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry. Aye.
Okay, thank you. Measures adopted.
Thank you, we're adjourned. Thanks.